This is the Ponderous Brick Thinker with a castle update. And the update is, now that the Tower of Action has direction, I'm going to be focusing on the vehicles, at least the general idea of them, and see how they can be incorporated in the tower design. And afterwards, I'm going to see what I can do about the structure for the Tower of Immersion. You can see here I have several pieces gathered, and most of them white. The reason being is that the white color has several of the shapes that a single other color does not have in full. Red might have that, but maybe not this. Maybe it does, but we'll find out. The reason I have white is I want us to look at the overall shape, so that way I can see how these different aspects that I do want to use are going to be held together, and also house a minifig for transportation. This one I did not include in the previous video, but this is not necessarily this shape, but this material, this transparent green. This was the sci-fi element when I was growing up, so I would like to use it. And the reason why we're not looking at the color right now is that sand green and this green don't really go too well together. But maybe by the other combinations of color, then maybe yes. And so I'm going to explore that once I know for sure what is the shape this vehicle is going to take. And so I did mention in the previous video that I'm going to use the technology from the different storylines. So for the Dream Chasers, we have their engine, flame thing. Chewbacca, it's like the controls for the Millennium Falcon. And the X-Men, I don't really have a set for them, but I did look online for their PDF of the X Mansion. I didn't see anything too distinct in terms of technology. In the infirmary, they had this with a sticker to kind of, represent the screen of medical scan. But so this can be used just for maybe how they I don't know, some kind of screen, but it will be in there and waiting. And I didn't see anything else except for a slope with a sticker of control panels for the danger room. So for the X-Men, this will be it. I also have this for no particular faction because it's not necessarily Navi, but it does look nice. So we'll see if this is going to be useful. And then it's okay. It's not, they don't go naturally together, but it is a better fit than this transparent green. So let me start putting things together. And you might notice that I have several of these, let's call them joints, just because let's see what we can do with a vehicle, not necessarily being orthogonal, meaning right angles, using the brick of this is the only way it can go, but with these, maybe it can be a little bit different. Part of the challenge is most of these are new pieces, maybe 90% of them. These I got online just because they looked interesting, but so like for example, this is relatively strong because it's new. Over time, it's going to be more loose, and it might not be reliable for, hey, I'm going to come up with this vehicle with this kind of wing, and it's going to hold the angle right there. But over time, it's just going to drop. So it's not, this is not a universal design, but I would like for it to be, and that's the direction I'm going to go for. So even though an angle might be set, this is the best way, I'm going to think of ways to support that angle so that in the future, or if anybody else has this piece, but it's, well played, somehow keep that angle but still have it secure. And the other aspect I want to look at is how this is going to attach to the tower. I did not have these in the previous video, but now I put them back just to kind of continue on with the previous episode. But how this vehicle is going to attach. The tower really has to be strong because it's going to be a weight, but also how is the vehicle going to be attached? Because right now, all I need to do is that's not good. So the tower really has to be strong, but it might have to be Technic strong. And I'm not there yet with enough Technic pieces to make all of this a Technic tower, but I can make it traditional construction, which is basically, brick on top of brick, and that's pretty strong. But I also wanted to do panels so that they can have some kind of interesting, let's say, features. Also the wall climbing, like this. So it's going to be part panel, but part traditional brick on top of brick. Where this is at, that's where the vehicle is going to attach. So I just still need to think about if I'm still going to go with this part, because that was part of the exploration of the previously mentioned Tower of Fun, to see how this is going to, take shape. But if this can be a strong element of the tower, then yes, the vehicle can be attached. Part of what is making me hesitant is that, again, the pieces are new, but for example, let's see. So this double claw connection, it's pretty strong, but it's going to have to detach from the tower without breaking down the tower. This is too strong. Single claw. It's more or less, it's there. It's not as strong as the double claw, obviously, but I'm still kind of worried about it. This kind of Technic connection. This part has a little indentation to kind of grab the other side of this hole right there. So there is some security in it, but it still needs to have some force to pull it apart. And I think those are the basic examples that I have. So it's not going to be the claws, it's not going to be Technic, but not this kind of Technic. This might be helpful. If placed like this, and there's a part of the vehicle that can be inserted in there and just rest, that would make it, ideal. So then all I need to do is just lift the vehicle off. And that way, the tower, there's no force on the tower other than gravity, which is already supporting it. And also gravity is holding the vehicle in place. So that's, I think, my best bet. But also this power source has the Technic crosshairs. So if I go like this and go like that, then I can make build a little bit around this so that the power source is not seen. Or maybe I want to be seen, but that's just an idea of how to support the vehicle on the tower. And this is more likely the approach I'm going to be taking. Okay, so let me do some more exploration. So I put this together just because I really want to use the octos, because I really haven't used them other than for flower making. But this is what happens when this piece is used repeatedly on all 8 sides, on both sides, so that's 16, which means it's 16 times 9, which I don't think I have enough of these, so this is just experimentation. For play purposes, it might be too fragile. As you can see, which one is it? One of these is not connected all the way. It's one of them for sure. It was kind of hard to put it together, but it's pretty much there again because these are new pieces. These might not necessarily be suited to play with, but all it needs to do is just, and then it starts to break apart. Oh yeah, did you notice that had the special piece in there? It was completely covered. So this is not ideal, but I just wanted to show that this is what happens when you put these pieces all around and fold them up. So this is, I do want to make this a little bit more noticeable. So if I put the Technic in here, and let's say we do use this, so it's connected, and then use this here, and I guess the flame. I think I do have this in dark gray, so at least it can look like there's a little bit of machine between the power source and the flame. I think this is, I only have it in white, so it is going to be white, dark gray, and just the peaking of this, it's not exactly green, it's like a lime green or maybe neon green. Yeah, just so that it's a little bit more noticeable, but so something like that, maybe. So that's the other thing. When this is, when the vehicle is parked on the tower, it might be like this. So that's the other thing is to, Dory, I don't want to, take it off and then put it back on just because it doesn't, go well with that idea. But it is something I have to consider. Maybe this is inside the tower, so the flame's hidden and you just see this. And maybe this is what, if this can be inserted into bricks somehow, it looks thin enough. To see, maybe that's the way to go. Maybe this is what's holding the vehicle to the tower, which could be approach. But, so I have this down so far. I kind of like how it looks. I like how this is kind of, and then flame. But let's see what else I can do with this shape. So now I just have attached more of these 1x2 with a claw pieces just to kind of create this shape. And I rather like it. And the other option is for these three to kind of curve in. Let's go like that. Kind of just a little bit more of the engine encircling the flame. Maybe even just those four. So you can see more of the flame. So this has possibilities. The other thing to consider is this piece, which let's say goes right here. That looks okay. So now I just need to figure out what I can attach to the Technic rod to also support the sand green wedges. So I added this Technic brick to hold it in place, but also to support the other part of the vehicle. I probably need some spacers just so that it can, unless I wanted to spin, but we'll see. I have the sand green wedges with a hinge, place it here, and I can attach it there. So it has this angle. This one is a straightforward 2x2 brick with a horizontal stud bracket, maybe, or plate. Have it there, and it can be like so. The 2x2 brick is just to give it enough distance away from this. It was preventing it to be securely in place without that brick. And so here's two possibilities. I rather like this one just because it shows enough of the blue. This one covers most of the blue at this distance, and it also has this angle. If I move this, the bracket, to let's say the midway, I might need some spacers or plates because it's a little too close to that piece. And then it starts to kind of close in towards the center of it. So that kind of prevents that's dictating that the front of the vehicle, because on the other side, if I were to mirror it, it would probably end in like that. And then there's no space for the minifig or the characters. But having the wedge be around here is preferable, just so that the flame is seen. Now, I am going in this approach just to experiment, but let's assume I do go here. There's wedges on both sides. Then it would be, how am I going to connect this to the tower? And let's assume that this can fit here. And so let's go this one. This one's a little bit easier to put there. So let's assume that way. 2 studs. And then between here is where the flame is going to go, theoretically. So this is going to need to be attached to the tower right here. Hopefully these 2 studs. But that kind of means this much is going to be sticking out of the tower, or the tower is here, but then it has to come back this much, which we do not have that much distance to attach to the tower. So I need a different approach as to the flame is the most logical, just for visual and structural. It's holding on pretty good. So this is becoming a more likelihood of actually using it in that way. Oh, I did add some grills just to see how that would look. It does add nice detail, but as you can see, the little knock, and then it starts to become very obvious it's knocked out. But so these are just possibilities. Let me explore another one. For the sand green, I put the same kind of attachment, which is the bracket with horizontal studs, so that it has this profile. It's pretty good. The only concern is that I would like for the flame to be rotated ever so slightly, but because the flame is on the Technic rod and this brick has the crosshairs, similar to this, it cannot be rotated because this plate that supports the sand green cannot be rotated. But let me see if I can rearrange it a little bit and see how that would look. So I took out the dark gray, just inserted like this. Since this does not have the crosshairs, it's free to rotate similar to that one. And if I have a longer, which I probably do, a longer Technic rod, just to expand it a little bit more, I can put spacers. But it's kind of interesting that this can rotate if I keep it like that. I'll just need to put the right bricks in their position so that it's secure and this can rotate, which might be cool. We'll see. But that way I can insert it here into the tower. It's not so far away. So it's going to not as stick out too much. The launch pads, I would say. But that seems like a nice feature. Let me look at how it sees next to the tower. So this is how it kind of looks with, if insert the flame, it has that kind of shape. But if I put indentation in the wall so that the engine is inside the tower or kind of recessed in there, then we have that kind of shape, which is also good. Just kind of try to get it as close as possible to the tower in there. Okay. So assuming that the vehicle is parked like this, and also assuming it can rotate, we can try and have the cockpit. Let's see. Somehow also be convenient because let's assume this is the bottom, which more likely it is, just because it's heavier and it's bringing everything down. But then the seat will be here, right here. So the wall, so coming in, then the minifig will have to go in like this and sit down, which is very awkward. um, so let me think on how to put the cockpit so that maybe it can rotate or make it easier in theory for the Lego people to get in there. I made this little mock-up of what the tower can do in terms of supporting the vehicle. It's not exact, there's still room for improvement, but at least this shows me that at least three, and because of this, let's call it the middle stud, half the distance really helps support the flame piece. So it's not exactly a full stud width, but rather half. But it's still, no, I need another means of supporting it, but I think that's pretty good. At least this tells me the tower is going to be an odd number way, so that way it could be symmetrical, so that it looks good without the vehicle. But with the vehicle, let's see, it can be okay. I just need to increase the height and so forth. And then the cockpit, I do have these pieces, so it can go like that, and that's what I was kind of worried about, having this here, but then, oh, barely. And also, Storm is not the tallest member, so we have Quadrich, who has a tail, and another character also has a tail, Saria, and and it's gonna be kind of barely, but still possible. I just need to find the right fit if I go in this direction. But remember that Quadrich came from the Mako submarine set, in which, oops, they did not sit in the submarine, but rather they kind of laid down, operated the controls there, but also had more of a view like that. And so if it goes like this, just following the line of the vehicle, then you run in the tower, you go here, you run into the wall, grab the controls, and then the wall takes off because really the wall is part of the vehicle. That makes it easy for them to go in there and secure their place. Um, I think I will make that work just because it's kind of, I have not seen that in a sci-fi show, and it will work for most of the characters except for Beta. So Beta will have to like that, which I know I do need to make it universal, but if there's something to stand on, but also Beta's kind of, because of the tail, also kind of be like this. But also then this means it's not gonna fly around like that, which it could, but that was not my intent. It was more like the Mako submarine, head first orientation. So we'll see what I can do for Beta. Um, If that's the case, it might be a personalized vehicle, something like a step stool, because also Logan, kind of short for the control. So yeah, a step stool is going to be needed for these two characters. But I think that'd be fine. The overall construction will be the same, but inside there'll be some means of them to kind of get them close to the controls, at least approximate. But I think that's the way to go. So I'm gonna pause it here for the vehicles, and I'm gonna continue thinking about the cockpit and see how it can, um, how it's gonna be covered. It's gonna go like that, then they will have to run over it, or it's gonna slide down. I think that'll be cooler, but I don't know how practical and realistic that approach is. But for right now, there is good progress on the vehicle, and I have some feedback that the vehicle is having on the towers as to what the tower needs to have in order to make this work. So good progress. Okay, now let me work on the Tower of Immersion. For the Tower of Immersion, let me remind you of the columns that were sketched out earlier to signify the different zones, the sea, land, and sky. And each one is roughly 4 levels. I say roughly because as I have the transparency for the sea zone, it's a little bit more up. So it might be this tall. It doesn't have to be, but we'll see what's the best way. It can be in the air. It's just I'll think of something to make this zone part of the sea. But for the other ones, it's going to be above here. And right now, I need to answer a very obvious question is, what is the span so that I can have beams come across this way to support the levels? And so to answer that, I have some of the what we call Technic bricks. In this case, they're 1 by 8, but they have 7 Technic holes. And I have 2 here with 2, I don't know, attachments. So the idea is getting a span or a brick to span the whole distance across the tower. It's going to, they're just more expensive. But if I can combine several of the smaller ones, not necessarily gray, but it could be other colors too, then I can make it feasible. I can have several of these beams combined together to make the whole span. It is an option since these blue connectors are 3 deep in terms of bricks. I can make another one here to make it really strong, but right now, this is pretty good. And then I can just go over here. So with this, we'll be able to kind of estimate, let's say from here, this is where a column could be. Spanning it this way. And maybe it's there because this is kind of, it might not get it there. But it looks like it's 16 if that's the edge of it. So it's 2, 2, 8. So yeah, 16. So with that in mind, I'll be able to create several beams to cross here. And just to perhaps make it clear as to what my intention is for the Tower of Immersion, is that it's going to be open air. It's not going to be a really classical tower in terms of defense because there's going to be several levels, and that's why I'm not going for a big plate to kind of cover it up. I'm going to have smaller plates and have it really open air, and you can see down levels when you're in a higher level. So it's going to be a lot of structure supporting plates and stairs. So that way it's kind of more, there's not a clear definition between inside and outside. And this one also has the other possibility of using, oh, I could use that one. The other kind of Technic pieces, these here, I think they're lift arms, but they can create another span, I think, about right there. No. But if I run out of these Technic bricks, I can use the Technic lift arms, and these will be able to, they don't connect to the plate, but they certainly can support it. And that's more or less what I need. And it's still strong enough to have, strong support. So that way, at least I could use some of these Technic bricks, smaller apparently, of these lift arms, and those are more readily available than the super long ones. The only other question is how to make this kind of relate to the columns, because the columns have the color of their zone. So I can need to figure out a way to, well, I don't want to use the word decorate because basically I am going to have the colors here. They can be inserted into these spaces. Um, so, a Lego stud can fit in there. So that can have colorization along the span. The only thing is, I'm pretty sure I do not have all the different colors available in any of the Technic colors. Mostly I have maybe red, which I did not really use here. Red, yellow, the true yellow, not the light yellow or the bright yellow. Um, grays, black, and white. So that will be the challenge to kind of make this, which is purely structural, be incorporated into this. But this might be also a clue because maybe I can wrap the beam in plates so that it kind of resembles what's going on with the columns. So that'll be the next step. So for this part, I'm going to try and create 3 different types of beams that are going to be 16 studs wide because that's what we determined. So I'm going to take this apart, but let me show you what I have gathered so far. These 1x8s, which I conveniently have several of. So this is a design that I could be using in several places to span the distance. And this one is going to use this kind of piece with this kind of Technic rod. So I can put it here. Just pass it through. And one on this side. Now, my goal is to find a rod that's shorter so that I don't have it showing across the right here. But that is one option. And what I can do here is to put a plate for example, just put it there. So one of those things is there is a little bit of give, but if with enough plates, then it can be okay. So this is one way to do 16 across. And then this one, this one is a more sturdier, definitely, just because it's It actually could be even more sturdy if I put more of these blue pieces in there. So this is wider, but I can always put a plate. But what is curious is that this is 3 across, which there are, well, I really haven't come across where it's 3 and then a really large number. So it might be several 2x3s, maybe a 1x3, just to span it this way and have this be usable space. Maybe that's the platform. And the other one is this piece here, which is I believe whoops, let me just get this, 1x12, as you can see here. Now, one of the opportunities is to use one of these shorter ones. Then it can be a 16, like so, just simple math. And actually, I was thinking of using these right here. That will allow me to use this one, which is just kind of use this here, like so. And I need another one this way. And I'm not sure if there's a definite order to it in terms of, because it's a 1 deep insert or 2 deep insert. But let's see here, and then just do this. There is slight give, but if I put a plate, does that help? It does help. It might not be as strong as this one, but it can certainly withstand some weight. It'd probably be stronger if I had maybe one of these also supporting it. So I'm gonna go one more, and I won't be able to use these ones right here. But I had I have some of the black kind that are too deep. So put just on the outer edge and still keep that one there. Let's see what's coming up. Maybe it's a little bit misaligned. Something's preventing it. It's aligned. There we go. Okay, so perhaps that's the best way of doing it. And this one is now much more sturdier. So this is minimal. There is going to be some slight movement, but this, having the 1x6 here, definitely helps it keep it together. So this would be the strongest connection, and even more stronger if I put more of the blue connectors. This will probably be medium, and this one, the least, the least structurally sound, but it can do the job if I'm desperate enough. Especially since this is not yet quite resolved at this moment, and this is using the crosshair, so I cannot use the other pieces. There. If I had this in 1x6, to go at least one more, and be able to use this here, probably be stronger. Let me see. These were actually meant for the engine sketch, but they have the technical piece and crosshair. So let me get this out like that. This here. I feel it stronger here. Let me see if it really makes it stronger. This much. It is getting stronger. I can't do it on this side because this hole's is being used. So there's still slight give. And if I put a plate to span all that, it is more secure, but I have no idea if I make a longer of these kind of rods that span the whole distance. Maybe it has to be longer than that. Maybe because all it needs to do is be crosshairs at the edge. So one of these days I'm going to have my Technic pieces organized, but for right now, let's assume this is precisely the size I need. This is probably closer, and that Lego makes them in the first place. So I need this to be also long. Okay. So this needs to span all levels. There. Okay, so this is where we started more or less. And then with the additional of these, this one, there, and then again, assuming, wait, is this even, nope, this is the same size. These are all shorter. Looks like a very complicated beam, but it is sturdy now. A very wide beam, but sturdy, which can support a pretty good sized plate now, even though this is, again, not technically grabbing it, it is holding it up. So the plate is not going to bend like this. This will have some resistance to that. And it's going to be, well, in real world, this would not be an ideal beam because there's a lot of weight in the middle, and that's the furthest point away from the ground in any beam. Usually you want it thicker and then it goes through the middle thinner. But in Lego, this is the most stable you can make in this circumstance with two 1x8 pieces. But now that I have these three sketches, let me see what I can do to make them go with the columns here. So it's probably gonna be the same strategy, especially for this. I kind of foresee it. This one's probably gonna need a little bit of help, but not too much. This one, well, let's see what happens. And for the most part, I'm gonna be using brackets with the horizontal studs to kind of go over the edge and support plates. Maybe not that way, this way. So that the sides are at least covered. For the most part, they're going to be at this level so that what the Lego people see from the bottom is not going to matter too much. They just won't look up. But it's going to look more or less aligned with the column since I can put multiple plates so that I can use multiple colors And also in this direction, do you match up? You do. Excellent. So at least this side is aligned, and if I want, I can put colors underneath by having a single, I don't have one available, but a plate just kind of running along to kind of put some color there. And this side also, I just grabbed these. This color is not the objective here, is more or less what is the structure going to be? How can I make a beam, make it sturdy, that's going to be 1 by 16, and be able to support the color scheme, which, as we can see here, several colors are going to be part of a column. So theoretically, it should be also part of the beam. And, that would be more or less dependent on where this is in the tower, because there's different zones. It could be part of this is going to be sea and the other part is going to be land, or sea and then land on top. It's part of the color scheme. So that is also part of the question, because what happens when the beam is in between a zone? And well, that'll be a future design question. But so something like this, for this example, this one is going to need, well, actually, you're going to need a lot more than that. What are you? Nope, a little longer. Oh, okay, let's only go to the white, because maybe I'm going to find the right size of Technic rod here. But in that case, it's only 5 across, which could be difficult to get. I've only come across a few 1 by 5s. I haven't come across a 1 by 5, no, a 5 by something plate, which this probably could use. So depending on the situation, it might be purposely made thicker so that it can be a 6 by something, so that it can cover the whole thing. I'm not too worried about it being too far from the support that it might bend, because the Technic below will help support it. If anything, I might put an additional 1 by 8 underneath, and that will push it out a little bit so that it can be even 6 and symmetric. But let me push these in. This will probably be the same. What might be iffy is I'm going to need to go like this. Oops. So that there's some space. I'm going to need to go further apart, which might be okay. So like, say like that. And let's go for one of these. And I'm going to need a really long plate, or several. Oops. Oh, I didn't get in the normal. Oops. Where am I? Oh, I think the rod's pushing it out. Okay. How you? Yeah, this one's getting the center studs, which actually looks better on the outside. There is a slight. It's not perfectly aligned with that. It has the slightest difference, but that could be an aesthetic choice. So then it will be, that really makes it look blocky. It's not a beam, it's like a slab, which could be a feature. That this is the whole platform going across. So this might be a very unique occurrence if I go with that. The reason I want different options is so that I can have options to use in certain places. So, for example, since this is so massive of a beam, that maybe it's only used once, whereas these I can get away with in terms of not being a it's called covering up the tower of immersion, so that these are slender enough so that there's air coming through. It's not a floor, an entire floor, or a wall, and that it's still something of an open air concept. And I didn't get any 1 by or any 3 by plates, but again, it will be, let's say, about 5, because with 5 I can go overhang a little bit and then just drop down and then do the same thing. If not, can I put on the bottom? Which I can, and it'll probably be, do I have any, all of these are a little too high. Like that. No, I want it to be, let me get something else. Oh, something like that. And this is just for right now. I'll have to think of a way of, because it is technically 5 across that I need, but it can be smaller, even as small as 3. I would just need to go this way and then this way and this way and this way, almost like a zipper effect, so that at least there's enough of these to support a horizontal plate. And apparently the middle of the plate is the most ideal spot. It is coming out massive, almost as massive as this, just because I need something here to support the plates. Now I wonder, because there is a slight gap, if I pull this back to say here, do any of the plates that I have, no, it's way too thin. It's barely where the stud is. And so a plate, normal plate, can't get in there to kind of insert and then have the horizontal studs. For example, something like this. It's just, oh, if I go like that, it's on par with a plate like here. So for just right now, oh, I can't. For just right now, it will be just a little bit deeper, but it will still be able to support a plate in this orientation. But let's see, is this a problem? No. Okay, for this particular bracket, there is a slight gap caused by the depth of that piece right here, which kind of makes sense. So depending on what's here, maybe with a railing it could be covered up, but for the most part it gets this and this, and the rest can be part of a aesthetic choice or something else to come up. So it is possible to not have it as wide, because then theoretically it will be 3 wide, plus a plate or two plates on each side. So this would be almost the same. I think the difference being, let's move this over here, assuming that we can do that. Let me put a bracket over here. Nope, this way. Nope. This way. I think. How did that go? Okay, I think it has to be. It should get this one, but I see another of its kind. So let's put this back. Get this, and I need to go like this. Then I need to put a plate. There. Okay, and then that's the distance that I need. Okay, so assuming I find the plates that I need, and this has it this way. Let me push this way. So this would be the width compared to this. It's the same. Wow, did not expect that. All right, so whenever I combine with Technic pieces, it does make the beams a little bit wide, which now, having come to this realization, I was thinking 3 here, that might be enough, or just pushing it. Okay, so that is something I want you to think about in terms of this. If this is too thick, if I really, really need to invest in the super long or 1x16s, or somehow make this work too, but because this doesn't have any studs for Lego pieces to be attached to, maybe other than this way, it will still be maybe just a plate of different colors. Maybe that would be it, but that's what is your almost 1x16. Maybe the columns can stretch out a little bit just to grab it. And so that here, then there will be plates of different colors here. And in doing so, I can put it like this if like this. Do you match up? Yep. Okay, so if I need a platform somewhere along the beam, or if I need to put a Lego piece to be there for some reason, this is a possibility. And it could be this kind so that it is a 1x3 beam, truly, and not 1, 2, 5. So this could theoretically be the thinnest beam. Let me put a proper piece. Oh, you're different. Oh, it's probably has to be oriented in the right direction. Like so. And if you're not, you don't work. Okay, so that is something to be mindful of. This particular piece has to be like that. with the hollow studs on top. And there is going to be a slight gap, but it might not be noticeable. So I actually have more options. This is a fourth one. But it's one stud short, so the columns on both sides need to grab it. They cannot be underneath. They have to kind of reach out to grab it, which might not be too much of a big deal if I do maybe two on each side. It'll push it, but maybe this is for a special occasion, but we'll see how it goes. So, some exploring this episode, many possibilities discovered, and now I can think about it some more into what direction I want to go into. This has been the Ponderous Brick Thinker. Thank you for stopping by. If you liked the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see how this project progresses, go ahead and subscribe and sign up for notifications. And see you next time.